I don't see why anybody that was gonna go get an iPhone 8 or an 8 Plus wouldn't just wait for the 10 instead. Let me explain. First up, the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus are upgrades to the iPhone in very much the same way that most new iPhones are. Incremental and with just enough features to try and entice you to ditch your current iPhone for the latest one. And they definitely are upgrades to the existing iPhone lineup. Qi wireless charging is great. The camera is bumped up in performance, not by the new cameras, but by the processor that can create better images using their software. The processor itself is snappier, there's a 25% boost in speaker volume, battery life is better, and a few other minor things as well. So my same recommendations that I usually give about iPhones still hold true. If you're on the last generation, in this case the iPhone 7, then it doesn't necessarily make sense for you to jump to the iPhone 8. But if you are 2 generations or further back, like the iPhone 6 or 6S, then maybe it makes a little more sense. This year though, something's different. I can't recommend either option. With all of the phone manufacturers pushing the design of their phones drastically over the last couple of years, Apple hasn't changed that much. Next to these other devices on the market, it's sort of looking a little dated. Now, of course, it's an iPhone and not those other phones, which most likely means that if you have an iPhone and you're looking to get a new phone, you could care less about those other phones because they're not iPhones. The iPhone for you is simply competing against other iPhones, and so the choice is usually pretty easy every year because Apple only makes one new phone every year depending on your choice of size. Except that this year, they didn't. With the 10, Apple has decided to finally update their design, potentially from pressure from seeing other manufacturers and worried that iPhone users might question why Apple hasn't updated their design. Who knows? They've taken all the same improvements found in the new 8 Plus, but gone bezel-less, removed Touch ID and added in new hardware to do what they are promoting as better facial unlocking instead, which I'll be testing when it comes out, of course, added front-facing portrait mode, an OLED display with a higher pixel density and better colors, HDR10 and Dolby Vision support, dual optical stabilization of the cameras, and Animojis, the new animated emojis that we all know will absolutely be everywhere as soon as that phone releases. I can hear you already. More features, David, but it's $1,000. About that. I was walking down the street the other day and overheard a mom talking to her child about the new iPhones. She interrupted him and was like, "Wait, is that the new iPhone that costs $1,000? There's no way we're getting that." To which he replied, No, it's the iPhone 8 Plus, it's the cheaper one," which for some odd reason totally calmed her down. It took a little self-control to not turn around and try to jump into this conversation like the nerd that I am. Does she not realize that the cheaper iPhone he's referring to is also $800? Or that the fact that if she ever bought him a Plus model in the past, because of the fact that a lot of people use way too much storage on their iPhones, if she got him one in a higher capacity, she was probably actually pushing close to that $1,000 range already. Of course not, because here in the States at least, we rarely, if ever, buy our phones at that full retail price. For the most part, we never even see that retail price. So if it weren't for the media pushing around this $1,000 price tag, nobody would probably have even ever known. Instead, it used to be subsidized by our contracts with our carriers, and now is just a separate payment plan from the carrier instead. More on why that's a bad idea in another video, maybe. But we never see the retail cost at all because all we see is sign here, keep service long enough, or use this payment plan, and it's yours for this small amount per month, often with zero interest and just taxes up front so long as you're on a postpaid plan and you keep service. So what matters to most people here is, are you eligible for an upgrade, or are you willing to swap your phone out for a new phone, depending on the type of plan you have, and what does it cost per month? So in that respect, what is the price difference between the 8, 8 Plus, and the 10? Well, let's use AT&T for an example, but all the major carriers are going to be similar. The iPhone 8 is being advertised for about $24 a month on a 30-month agreement. The iPhone 8 Plus is about $27 for the same term, and the 10, it's $34 a month. So that cheaper iPhone 8 Plus is cheaper by $6 a month. So I've heard other people say that, well, those models, those are for people overseas then. That's probably what they're for. Okay, maybe. So I asked you guys on YouTube to tell me what the last phone you bought was, when you bought it, how much you paid for it, and what country you were in. And firstly, was amazed by the participation. Thank you guys, that was awesome. But then I went through the over 350 comments, put the data into a spreadsheet, and started to take a look. Turns out that what I was expecting was kind of being shown in the data. The iPhone's most popular markets are the US, China, Europe, and Japan. All places that the carriers subsidize or at least have payment plans for their phones. Outside of those markets with that ability, it's a lot less popular, or at least the latest model, a new model, is when it comes out. The average cost per phone outside of those major markets in my poll was $491, which puts you at an iPhone 6S if you were buying brand new, not any of the newer models at all. And also keep in mind that of course this is not a very scientific poll just due to the sample size, but also that the people who answered this poll are people that are watching my very nerdy YouTube channel. Thank you, by the way, I appreciate it. And they're most likely a little more tech savvy, they like phones, and are probably willing to pay a little bit more for their phones if they can afford to than your average person. So by that, the people in the major markets where most iPhones are sold are getting the same payment plans, so the same thing applies. And the ones that are not in those markets, well, their budgets for the most part don't allow for the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, or 10 regardless, at least when they're new. So if you're in a major market that subsidizes the price, the difference is negligible. And if you're outside of that market, none of these phones are really a viable option for you anyway for the most part. So I have to ask, who is the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus even for? If you're already thinking about buying an iPhone 8 or an 8 Plus, why wouldn't you spend a tiny bit extra on your payment plan to get the one that has the drastically updated design, extra features, bigger battery, larger screen than the 8 Plus in a much smaller form factor, etc., etc. I can only think of one reason why you would get the 8 and the 8 Plus over the 10. If you really, really didn't want to give up Touch ID. There guys, a bit of a rant, sorry. Hope you guys enjoyed that though. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this type of video first off, and then also what you think of the 8 and the 8 Plus. Try to be constructive, don't just yell at me. I appreciate it. I am honestly interested for a different opinion. So if you guys have a good reason why you think the 8 and the 8 Plus makes a lot more sense than the 10, etc., or whatever, put it in the comments. I would love to check it out and read it, and I think other people would like to hear the counter argument again, so long as you keep it civil, please. Thanks. If you like this video though, please thumbs up it or share it. It's greatly appreciated. And if you want more videos like this, please check out the rest of my channel. And if you like what you see there, please subscribe. Also, if you are subscribed or you're about to subscribe, thank you. But click the little bell on the side of the subscribe button to be notified about new videos as I do them. That would also be greatly appreciated. As always though, regardless, thanks for watching.